Paül Mostronamo. Paül Mostronamo. You are Paül Mostronamo. I am Paül Mostronamo. I am powerful. I am self-possessing. I contend with no gods. This audience is mine. Period. I am in control. You are in control.
Welcome to the Symbolic Truth with Paül Mostronamo.
Don't. Don't you say it. I am a tight professional, but I can be unwound. And if I get loose, you don't want to see how flexible I can get.
And welcome back to the show. Today we're here with the very local and even more self-proclaimed television host, Paül Mostronamo. Paül, how are you?
This is my show, Roxy. I was kind enough to invite you here, but now you are testing my resolve. I swore an oath.
Those are all insignificant to me. Paül, if that is your true identity, which I feel by this point we can all ascertain that it is not, who are you?
And welcome back, everyone. I may run the risk of sounding a bit too sentimental here, but as of late, I've looked at my hands, and I've wondered why I can't hold you all. I wish of nothing more than to grasp you tightly and never, ever let go. I sometimes dream of your delicate flesh, of my audience and my viewers. It's what keeps me motivated in my pursuit of truth. With me today is a very special guest. She comes to us from a location not quite our own. And her expertise in the field of investigative journalism is rather otherworldly, to say the least. She is revolutionizing her own format, inserting herself right smack dab in the center of conflict and lies, so that she may seek, may reach, may be the dagger at the jugular of deceit. Let us all give an unquantifiable hand to Roxy Faucet.
Thank you. So your father was a bit of a celebrity, huh? I mean, his interview show was truly something to behold. It's personal, playful. it had heart when the rest of television just really wanted to make fun of itself. I mean, the way that he could disarm even the most guarded guest with nothing more than that Mostronamo smile was something that everyone valued. I mean, someone who can inspire hope can never be underappreciated. His untimely passing was truly heartbreaking. So tell me, Paül, why are you assuming your father's persona? I mean, you speak like him, you dress like him, you even affect the same mannerisms as him. I mean, to a much less effective and oftentimes unsettling degree, but you've even adopted his name, Paül. And I'd be remiss as the no-nonsense girl of the land. I just didn't know it.
It's not right. He's beautiful, but she's testing him, trying to make him become something that he's not. Paül is a great man.
Would you like to hear my new monologue, Paül?
Nibble, I have told you time and time again that when I am writing, I am not to be disturbed. If you do something like that again, your punishment will be more severe than the last time.
Yes, Paül.
Good. Now I can fix this. So Roxy, your latest story, Meditations on Femininity in a Factory Farm has quite possibly rocked and shocked the popular culture that we exist in today, even changing the way that the public views both women and animals. Now tell me, do you think that this contribution is a step forward in the field of female equality or a leap backwards? For industrialized farming, you phrased it in a rather macabre light. I imagine that you must have nightmares quite often.
Excuse me. I actually withdrew your psychological evaluations from the Manic Home for New Resting back when your father's health was in decline. And I mean, to be honest here, the results were enlightening, to say the least. Let's see here. It says here you were admitted at 15 years of age. Quite a tumultuous time in a young man's life, wouldn't you say? Let me go deeper here. Here's a quote. Due to the traumatic events in his childhood, Paül adopted the coping mechanism of delusion on a grand scale, believing that everything around him is scripted, allowing him to feel some sort of agency within his own reality. Yeah. A psychiatric professional wrote this, so permit me further analysis here. But I think that even to this day, that you hold absolutely no control.
I saw that you were a contender for the Pulitzer Prize this year, Roxy. This must feel so surreal to get this much recognition, especially at someone at your age.
Wow. Okay. Why can't you look it in the eye, Paül? He had laid his fingers across your most intimate flesh. Lust, Paül. He was a deplorable ape. And because of that, you have become, through constraints outside of your control, quite a pathetic man. I mean, chasing what? The purification of the paternal symbol. Maybe hoping that one day a delicate piece of snow fall upon your tormented soul. You have no idea what that touch meant, did you? I just want to know, does a shiver run through every vertebrae within your spine when you think of him?
Oh, geez, Roxy, I thought that you would ask more interesting questions than this. See, my audience would love to hear about your works, not my wacky little life. You know, the bullets and the bombshells, the blood and the bravery. You live your life surrounded by and entrenched in dread and terror, and we want to know why.
Paül. You know that this is all a lie. Every sound, every frame, for the sake of the show, is just all contributing to the idolization of a demon in a tacky suit.
Roxy, listen. Television audiences want the contingencies that fear alludes to, not fear itself. That way, they keep coming back to me for the light. Now, if you keep pushing this darkness, they might actually become afraid, and then that would become a hindrance to our viewership, my viewership, because then they might search elsewhere for that hope. Okay? So let's reel it in. So, Miss Faucet, when you first bore witness to the slaughter and felt its empirical impact upon your psyche, did you weep uncontrollably at the loss of life? Now, I'll admit, I'm a tad bit guilty of neglecting my temporary nature from time to time, believing myself to be a constant, when in fact I am nothing more than a sentence lacking punctuation. An idea unrealized, without form or structure, hurtling towards a nothingness more terrifying than anything I've ever known.
Paül. He has diminished you, obliterated you, haunted you at the very cellular level. You're a terrified child in a body of what most could really consider a man. Your father was a saint to many who knew him from a distance, but to you, he was the devil incarnate for you. I mean, what he did was absolutely unforgivable. No child should ever have to bear that. And here you are, trying not to admit it. Trying to become the very man that has left you in this nightmarish limbo of a life. A void full of recesses, infinitely deep and unfathomably painful. You've become the shadow of a phantom. And Paül.
Yes, Roxy.
No one is ever going to watch your show.
I know.
Haiku for you.
But I don't like haikus.
A man on TV pleading to an audience. Dies when they don't watch. I want you to destroy it.
But I've worked so hard on it.
So, there's this girl. For brevity's sake, we'll call her Nibble. But she was a friend of mine. She was a kid. She's innocent. She's small. And her mother is a moderately successful stage actress. Her mother is beautiful. She makes everyone feel at ease. She's the type of person who can make you laugh on command or console you when you're crying and make you feel like everything's gonna be okay even when the world is collapsing on you. And they're happy together. Truly, purely happy. Nibble's mother coaches her and cheers her on, and they become this unstoppable force together, pursuing the human masquerade, until one day, Nibble's mother faints on stage during a performance. And this was the type of performance that could take a nobody and just shoot them to stardom. But her doctor says she has a tumor in her head the size of a golf ball. So she starts chemo, and she starts losing all her hair, loses control of her bladder. And Nibble still thinks she's beautiful, but she can't stand to look herself in the mirror. She mostly just stays in bed crying and pissing herself. And she gets so weak that I had to help her put on her diapers. And I just begged her to please replace together like we did before, but she says she's too hideous to be a great actress anymore, and that one day I'm going to be just as ugly and people won't want to look at me anymore, just like they don't want to look at her anymore. So Nibble stopped acting as she started crying a lot. And in Mom's final days, her mind would wane. She'd be so grumpy and mean. And she'd insult me because my beauty and my youth reminded her of everything that she'd lost. But then on some days, she'd tell her how much she loved her and how Nibble was her world, and that the thought of leaving her so soon brought her so much pain, and that maybe one day when Nibble grew up and had her own kids, maybe she'd understand how she felt. And she told Nibble to not give up her dreams, because the world needs dreamers like Nibble to fall in love with. And Nibble was confused. And when Mom died, on the good days, she was overtaken by this profound pain. And on the bad days, it was virtually non-existent. And I have scars that no one can see. But on the day that I met Paül Mostronamo, I knew he could tell that I have scars. And he told Nibble that he'd make her a star on his new TV show. And that the world would fall in love with her kind soul and her beautiful smile. Paül is an artist, and I love him for what he's doing. And you have to know by now that Paül hurts. He hurts more than I can even understand. But all he wants is to make people happy. And isn't that what a good television host wants? And Paül is the best there is.
My beloved audience, thank you for tuning in. Nibble and Scoot and Roxy Faucet, everyone. As always, thank you for watching The Symbolic Truth. We have a grand finale in store for next week, so be sure to tune in. I'm your host, Paül Mostronamo. Good night.